everyone, welcome back to Biophilia, your all-time study mate. Today we are going to continue our chapter about chemical coordination and integration with its part 2 about our second endocrine gland, that is pituitary gland. If you like this video and get some help, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our amazing channel Biophilia. Starting with the new gland, that is pituitary gland. Previous हमने जो gland किया था, that was about hypothalamus. Hypothalamus और pituitary, these are going to be at a very close extremity, and pituitary gland and hypothalamus are going to be connected to each other. These are attached to each other by a stalk called as infundibulum. So pituitary gland क्या है? Let us understand in detail, and what are the hormones secreted, what are the parts, and everything will be covered in this part. So let's start understanding how the pituitary gland looks, where is it located, and all the rest of it. So pituitary gland is going to be a small gland which is going to be a pear-shaped gland. It is colored as a red-gray and it will be ectodermal in origin. Since pituitary gland जो है, it is located nearby the hypothalamus, that is in the diencephalon of the forebrain. So it is also going to be somewhat a nerval origin, and nervous tissues जो होते हैं, these are also ectodermal in origin. So the pituitary gland is also going to be ectodermal in origin. Now in the pituitary gland का जो location है, it is going to be in the bony cavity. Very important to remember, it is a bony cavity of which bone? Of the sphenoid bone, that is called as sella turcica. So sella turcica is the bony cavity wherein the pituitary gland is going to be located. And pituitary gland and hypothalamus, since these are in a very close extremity, these are attached to each other by a stalk called as infundibulum. So infundibulum के बारे में we had already talked about it in the previous video as well. But here also we study because it is a part of pituitary gland. So anatomically, when you consider the pituitary gland, it is divided into two major regions. The one is going to be the adenohypophysis and the next one is going to be the neurohypophysis. So hypophysis जो होता है, that is the name of pituitary gland. So pituitary gland को अगर और एक नाम से पता करना है, then it will be called as hypophysis. So pituitary gland or hypophysis are nothing but one and the same. So don't forget about that pituitary gland is also called as hypophysis. So अभी adeno का क्या meaning है? Adeno is going to mean that it is somewhere related to the portal circulation. What is it related to? It is related to portal circulation. So if you remember the previous part of the video, we had spoken about the hypothalamus में से there are some hormones which are going to come, and these are going to act like the serving the ingredients and the recipe so that the pituitary gland, that is the anterior pituitary, can make its own hormones. So adenohypophysis जो होगा, it is going to act like the anterior pituitary and it is going to be connected by the portal circulation. So it is called as the adenohypophysis. So adenohypophysis के कौन से hormones होते हैं, on all that things we will discuss in detail in the few next minutes. So second part जो होता है, that is neurohypophysis. So neuro is related to the nervous tissue. So that is going to be the part which is connected to hypothalamus by neural bodies and axons. By how it is connected? It is connected by the axons of two nuclei. And what are those two nuclei? We had discussed in previous class, that was supraoptic nuclei and paraventricular nuclei. So if you don't know about these, then you can surely go and check out the link in the previous video. The link will be provided down in the description box. You can surely go and check those out as well. So neurohypophysis neural bodies axons के साथ connected होगा, and from these axons what is going to be this neural body? We have studied that it is going to be the part of posterior pituitary gland wherein the ready-made hormones are going to be coming, and it is only the place that is going to release the hormones, and before releasing it is going to store the hormones, whereas the anterior pituitary is going to first of all synthesize. After synthesizing, it is also going to release the hormones. So synthesis plus release is going to occur in the anterior pituitary, whereas posterior is only for storing and releasing. उसका synthesis कहाँ होगा? Synthesis will occur in the two nuclei that is going to be in the hypothalamus. So this is the general introduction about the pituitary gland. Now let us understand in detail about the two divisions, that is adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. So adenohypophysis जो है, it is going to be constituting the major part of the pituitary, that is 75% of the gland. It is going to be highly cellular and highly vascular because यहाँ से क्या जाने वाला है, यहाँ से portal system जाने वाला है. So since it is going to be going through the portal system, it is going to be very vascular in nature because many capillaries will be surrounding around this adenohypophysis. There are two parts in the adenohypophysis as well. The first one is called as pars distalis and the second one is called as pars nervosa. So adeno का जो meaning होता है here, adeno is going to mean glandular. How is it going to be? It is going to be glandular, and this glandular structure is the thing that is producing its own hormones. So synthesis वो खुद करेगा, and however the two parts, that is the pars distalis and the pars intermedia, दोनों में से the pars distalis is going to be much more prominent, whereas pars intermedia is going to be almost merged. It is a kind of vestigial part. Intermedia जो part है वो humans में ज़्यादातर नहीं दिखता है. It will be fused with the distalis part. So what are the different hormones that are going to be synthesized by the adenohypophysis? So the first part that comes is the pars distalis, जहाँ से 5 hormones release होंगे, that is growth hormone, prolactin, TCH, that is thyroid stimulating hormone, adenocorticotropic hormone, and the gonadotrophic hormones. So all these are the 5 hormones जिनका control होगा to the hypothalamus. So pars distalis के जो भी hormones है, all these are going to have their control under what? Control under hypothalamus. So hypothalamus में से अगर releasing या stimulating hormones निकल रहे हैं, then and then only the release of these hormones is going to occur. Even same for the pars intermedia, the melanocyte stimulating hormone, that is MSH, is also going to be under the control of hypothalamus hormones. So releasing हो या stimulating हो, based on that it will be under control of hypothalamus. अब neurohypophysis जो है, neurohypophysis, neuro is going to be related somewhere to neurons. So neurons, यहाँ पे neurons हम बात कर रहे हैं only of the axons over here that will be extending down into this neurohypophysis. So neurohypophysis जो होगा, it will be 25% of the pituitary gland, and since it is the having another name like adenohypophysis को दो parts थे, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Similarly neurohypophysis will also be called as pars nervosa or also as posterior pituitary. So neurohypophysis, very important to remember, it is not going to produce even a single hormone of its own. So it does not produce, it does not secrete, it is just going to release the hormones. Now release कहाँ से होंगे? It will receive, very important word, that is it will receive the neurohormones directly from the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus में से भी very two important nuclei जहाँ से ये neurons are going to be secreting the hormones. And what are these hormones? These hormones are going to be stored, axons उन्हें store करेंगे in vesicles, and then as soon as they are required into the body, they will be releasing through the neurohypophysis. So two hormones will be released, that is first, that is oxytocin, or the synthetic version is called as pitocin, and the second one will be the vasopressin or diuretic hormone, that is ADH. So जो ADH है, it is coming from the supraoptic nuclei, and pitocin or oxytocin coming for paraventricular nuclei, and based on that these will be stored and released by the neurohypophysis. So these are the hormones over here that we have to understand in detail one by one. So these are the 8 hormones. So first let us start understanding in detail about the growth hormone, and simultaneously we will cover all the hormones up till the ADH. So growth hormone is our next destination to receive. So growth hormone जो है it is going to be called as the somatotrophin or even somatotrophic hormone. So somatotrophin में there are two words. The one word is soma. The soma is going to mean as body, and the trophy is the word that is going to mean as nourishment. So this is the particular hormone that doesn't have a specific location or a specific target cell, but it is going to promote the entire body growth. So it is not going to be कि सिर्फ एक ही पर्टिकुलर हाथ का पार्ट ग्रो हो रहा है, but the entire body will be under control of growth hormone. So growth of the body, that is protein metabolism, the intestinal absorption of calcium, conversion of glucose, everything will be the under control of growth hormone. So growth hormone is going to be helping in synthesis and deposition of proteins. So protein metabolism में help करेगा, and since it is working under the intestinal absorption of calcium, so calcium का जो metabolism है, that is either to store the calcium into long bones so that growth of the bones can occur and the skeleton can become stronger. So all that is going to be under this hormones control. So growth hormone is only the adenophysis hormone. Very important to understand, it is the only growth hormone that is going to be directly linked to the body. Very important point to remember, you should not forget about this particular point, whereas this is only the hormone which is going to directly act onto the body, whereas बाकी के जो hormones है, like for example if you say the hormones like melanocyte stimulating hormone, or if you can relate about prolactin or TCH, all these hormones are going to act on some other gland of the body to release other hormones, whereas growth hormone is only hormone that will directly act onto the body and it is not going to control a specific part of a body. So that is the important thing to remember about growth hormone. So growth hormone exactly क्या करेगा, it is going to stimulate the hepatocytes. Hepatocytes क्या होते हैं? Hepatocytes are the liver cells. So liver में जो cells होंगे, these are called as hepatocytes. So hepatocytes will be ordered by the growth hormone to release glucose. Glucose जैसे ही release होगा क्या हो जाएगा? Blood will be having much more glucose content, and whenever the glucose content increases in the blood, cells are going to use it for more and more growth. So by that way, the growth hormone is going to promote the cell division and all such things so that your body can grow. So growth hormone is again a very important point to remember. It is an insulin antagonist. Why it is called as insulin antagonist? Because insulin जो hormone है, insulin क्या करता है? Insulin is going to act against the growth hormone because insulin is decreasing glucose level in blood. So insulin का काम होता है blood glucose level को कम करना, whereas growth hormone is going to be increasing the blood glucose level, and since it is having a opposite nature, growth hormone and insulin are called antagonist hormones, and this will be related to diabetogenic effect. So अगर growth hormone का secretion ज़्यादा हो रहा है, that can also be a chance wherein the glucose levels are increased in the blood, whereas insulin क्या करेगा? blood glucose level को कम करेगा. So that is one thing that you should remember about growth hormone. So question can be coming from here that growth hormone is antagonist to which hormone? So antagonist to insulin for the diabetogenic effect. So growth hormones अगर normal secretion हो रहा है, then it is a very healthy condition wherein there is no problem, you have your average growth that every human being has. But if some problem happens into your body while secretion of hormones, तो उस time पे हो सकता है that sometimes the hormone secretion is increased. So when the hormone secretion is increased, that is hyper secretion. Increased secretion will be called as hypersecretion, and if the secretion is lowered, यानी growth hormone body में कम produce हो रहा है, कम release हो रहा है, that is going to be called as hyposecretion or the decreased secretion. These are the two conditions that can occur. एक तो ज़्यादा रिलीज होगा हार्मोन या फिर कम रिलीज होगा. And when is it? So answers are going to be like what is, how much it is secreted and when is it secreted. So अगर childhood conditions में if it is going to be hyper or hypo, or if it is in the adult condition, that is after puberty. So before and after puberty, your secretion is lower or higher. Based on that you have four conditions to remember about growth hormone. So first condition जो है, it is going to be called as giantism. So giantism जो है, it is going to be because of hyper secretion, that is increased secretion of growth hormone in the childhood, that is before puberty. So what is the conditions that occur under the increased secretion of growth hormone? So growth hormone का normal functioning क्या है, that it is going to enhance the long bones formation. It is going to elongate your hands, your height, everything is going to increase in the case of increased production of growth hormone. So that is the same thing that occurs over here as well. अगर growth hormone का secretion ज़्यादा है before puberty, there is going to be extra growth in height. So height बहुत ज़्यादा लंबी होगी, and in that case there will be abnormal elongation. Normal elongation नहीं है, because कोई ratio proportion match नहीं होगा. Your hands and legs will be too large, too long, whereas your other body parts like your abdominal region or your head region, all that region will be proportionately smaller than your hands and legs. So that is the case that happens in giantism. अगर इसका opposite हो जाए, childhood में ही अगर secretion कम हो जाता है, that is hyposecretion of growth hormone, then that leads to the second condition that is called as dwarfism. So dwarfism में the child who is having lower secretion of growth hormone, उसकी growth होगी नहीं, long bones develop नहीं हो पाएंगे, and since the long bones do not develop, they remain short, the growth of the body is not going to occur. So it is called as a stunted growth. वो छोटा रह जाएगा, उसकी height कम रह जाएगी, and that is because of premature stoppage of the body growth. So the स्टंटेड ग्रोथ यानी वो ड्वार्फ जैसे लगेगा, वो छोटे से कम हाइट का बच्चा रहेगा, एंड दैट इज गोइंग टू ऑल्सो रिड्यूस द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द स्केलेटन. सो ओवरऑल सभी चीज़ें छोटी छोटी रह जाएंगी, छोटे हाथ, छोटे पाँव, इवन द टोटल हाइट ऑफ द बॉडी पर्सन विल ऑल्सो बी स्मॉल. एंड सच पीपल हु आर गोइंग टू बी हैविंग हाइपोसिक्रेशन, जिनकी हाइट छोटी रह जाती है, दोज dwarf are called as midgets. So midgets are the people who have the condition of hyposecretion of growth hormone before their puberty, that is in the childhood. अब यही सेम दो conditions यानी hyper and hyposecretion in adults हो जाता है, then what is the difference that occurs? So adult condition में already your growth hormone before puberty was normal, but because the puberty is the time wherein there are sudden changes. So puberty is the time of sudden changes, when because of the sudden hormonal changes what is going to happen, growth hormone उस टाइम पे हो सकता है ज़्यादा रिलीज हो जाए. तो ज़्यादा रिलीज होगा तो थर्ड कंडीशन आएंगे, दैट इज एक्रोमेगैली. मेगैली, मेगा वर्ड क्या होता है, मेगा इज रेफरिंग टू बिग. सो जायंटिज्म बिग है, वैसे ही एक्रोमेगैली इज गोइंग टू बी बिग. सो द पर्सन विल बी हैविंग लार्ज हैंड्स एंड फीट, द योर जॉ, योर नोज, योर ईयर्स, एवरीथिंग विल बी proportionately very large. So एक्रोमेगैली में there can be proportion, but giantism में proportion maintain करना is a bit difficult. And acromegaly में very important, the person who suffers from this is also going to develop a hump. Why hump? Because generally the person who is very tall, जो बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा होता है, he is raised above the ground, and once he is raised above the ground, to maintain balance maintain करने के लिए automatically the body is going to curve itself, and that will develop a hump, and that hump or bending of the this vertebral column will be called as kyphosis. So generally जो बहुत लंबे होते हैं, they will be having a bend, a curve in their vertebral column. So fourth condition that can occur, that will be called as acromicria. So micra, or you can remember it as micro. So micro क्या होता है, micro is small. So the person who is going to be suffering from this condition will be having is low low secretion of growth hormone. So in that condition they are having the less secretion of growth hormone after puberty. So before puberty, growth hormone secretion was normal. So what you need to remember here, that is, since it is after puberty अगर decreased secretion है, that means what do you mean? Before puberty the secretion was normal. So since before puberty it was normal, the person had already achieved his growth, so growth was almost complete. Okay, growth was completed. So for that reason the body will not be shortened, उसकी height बहुत ज़्यादा कम नहीं रह जाएगी as it will be in the case of dwarfs. So उसकी height will be comparatively normal, so it will have a normal body, but generally the hands and feet and as well as the face will remain small, but body size जो height होगी या उसका जो intelligence brain development है, all that will be normal. Only hands, feet and face will be comparatively smaller in the case of less secretion or hyposecretion of growth hormone, that is after puberty. So these are the four conditions that we study in the decreased or increased conditions of growth hormones. So I hope you understood, and you can see the images how different kinds of people are going to be there because of the different secretions of growth hormone. Moving on to the second hormone of our discussion, that is going to be prolactin. So prolactin कहाँ से release हो रहा है? Just revise it again. It is going to be releasing from the adenohypophysis, and in adenohypophysis, in that also, which part of the adenohypophysis? It is going to be pars distalis. So that is also an important point to remember, that is coming from the adenohypophysis but majorly pars distalis. So prolactin is going to be the hormone which is going to regulate the growth of mammillary glands. So here you can understand growth hormone किस पे काम कर रहा था? Growth hormone directly acting on the body cells, whereas prolactin is a hormone that is acting on some other body part, that is on a specific gland which is going to help in secretion of some other hormone. So यहाँ पे कौन सा gland है? So target cells is going to be nothing but the mammillary gland. So mammillary gland से जैसे ही stimulate हो जाएगा, वहाँ से milk production होगा. So milk production or production of milk. So you can remember production of milk is related to prolactin. So prolactin is also going to activate the growth of breast during pregnancy, secretion of milk after the childbirth. So all that is going to occur because of prolactin hormone released from the pars distalis. So how is going to be the functioning of release of prolactin? So जब अगर कोई बच्चा रो रहा है या if he is suckling onto the breast, there is going to be signals coming from the mammillary gland. They will go to the spinal cord, and once they reach the spinal cord, they are going to signal the brain. In that brain, that is nothing but your pars distalis. Pars distalis में जैसे ही secretions आएंगे from the hypothalamus to release prolactin. So prolactin stimulating hormone ने जैसे ही release किया, there will be prolactin formation, prolactin blood circulation में पहुंच जाएगा, and from there the secretion and release of milk is going to occur. So that is going to be the pathway for prolactin release. Next is going to be thyroid stimulating hormone, shortened as TSH. So this TSH is going to work onto the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland पे जाके वो काम करेगा. So thyroid gland is the target of this particular hormone. It is going to stimulate the synthesis and secretion of thyroid hormones, that is thyroxine. So thyroid hormones कौन से होते हैं? These are going to be T3 and T4. So जैसे ही TSH is going to stimulate, T3 और T4 का release start हो जाएगा. And as soon as T3 and T4 are going to reach their optimum levels, there is going to be negative feedback mechanism that we had already spoken in the previous video, which is going to help to stop the secretion of thyroid stimulating hormone. So this also has the function of growth of thyroid gland. So because of this, two things will be occurring, that is synthesis and secretion of thyroxine as well as thyroid glands growth. So that is the third hormone that we studied, released from the pars distalis. So the fourth hormone coming from pars distalis is going to be the adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is going to be shortened as ACTH. This is going to be the hormone functioning on adrenal cortex. So adrenal cortex जो है, it is a part of adrenal gland. और adrenal gland कहाँ होता है? It is going to be located above the kidneys. So adrenal gland में there is going to be two parts. One is the cortex, one is going to be the medulla. So adrenal cortex के ऊपर कौन function करेगा? Function करेगा the ACTH, and this ACTH is going to stimulate the release of two hormones, that is glucocorticoids, and the second one is going to be the hormone that is a steroid hormone called as sex corticoids. So these are going to be the two hormones which will be under the functioning of ACTH released from the pars distalis. Now the next last hormone coming from the pars distalis, ये भी कहाँ से आ रहा है? This is also coming from pars distalis. The last hormone coming from this region, it is called as gonadotrophic hormones, or also called as gonadotrophins. So these are going to stimulate the gonad activity. So gonads में कौन कौन आते हैं? These are going to be the ovaries and the testes, which are going to come under these gonads. So यहाँ से क्या release होगा? These are also going to be stimulating the release of hormones that are called as FSH and LH. So what is going to be the function of FSH and LH? So FSH in males, it is going to function for spermatogenesis, that is formation of sperms. In the males, the LH is going to be called as ICSH. So ICSH क्या है? ICSH is going to be interstitial cell stimulating hormone. So you can write down the full form of ICSH, that is interstitial cell stimulating hormone, which is going to be allowing the testosterone secretion, whereas in females FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, will be functioning under oogenesis, that is formation of ova, and also release of hormone that is called as estrogen. Whereas in females, the LH, that is luteinizing hormone, will be functioning for ovulation, that is release of ovum from the ovary, and also for the maintenance of corpus luteum. So that was about the 5 hormones released from the pars distalis. And pars distalis किसका part है? It is the part of adenohypophysis. Now melanocyte stimulating hormone, which is shortened as MSH, and this MSH is released from where? It is released from pars intermedia, और pars intermedia किसका part है? It is a part of adenohypophysis. So this is nothing, just for you to revise it and remember it as the hormones are coming. So this hormone is going to be released from pars media or pars intermedia, and it is going to act on melanocytes, यानी ये cells है that are related to what? To melanin pigment. Related to what? Related to melanin pigment, which is regulating your pigmentation of skin. That is, indirectly your skin color is regulated by these cells. So skin color may, how is going to be the synthesis, the secretion, the dispersion of the melanin pigment, all will be under the control of the hormone, that is melanocyte stimulating hormone. So for example, if MSH secretion is going to increase, secretion increase हो रहा है, that is melanin pigment is going to increase, and when melanin pigment increases, your skin color or your skin pigmentation is going to become darker. So you will be going into your dark tones of your skin, whereas if you are having MSH secretion lower down, that means melanin pigmentation will be lower and your skin color will be lighter toned, and that is going to give you the skin that most of the people like, but that is not in your control. MSH का release कितना होना है, that is going to be dependent on what? It will be dependent on your genes, that is nothing but your DNA. So DNA के ऊपर dependent है that how much is the secretion of the melanocyte stimulating releasing hormone, and that is going to decide on what skin color do you have. But in sometimes it can get altered. So altered MSH secretion can be because of what? It can be because of the UV light. So UV light की वजह से the secretion is going to increase, and that will give you the tanning of the skin that occurs. So ज़्यादा देर तक धूप में रहने पे जो skin काली पड़ती है, that is going to be because of the UV light coming into your body and stimulating the melanocytes for releasing more pigments into your body. So that is about the melanocyte stimulating hormone. The next hormone is going to be oxytocin, or also called as pitocin. So pitocin जो है, it is going to be the synthetic version of the natural, that is oxytocin. So this to be remembered, ये जो synthetic version है, why is it important? Because it will be helping to induce labor. So those pregnant females जिनके babies बाहर नहीं आ रहे हैं because lowered secretion of oxytocin, they can be synthetically induced, or they can be induced by doctors and nurses to have induced labor during the time of childbirth. So this is also an important thing that you should know about this hormone. So ये oxytocin जो है, जो naturally or in synthetic version also, what is it going to do? So this oxytocin is going to act onto smooth muscles, and these smooth muscles are going to be contracting as soon as they receive the signals from oxytocin. So in females, majorly if you are speaking about pregnant females or lactating females over here, then in pregnant females after the full term completion, there will be vigorous contractions of uterus. So uterus में जो smooth muscles होंगे वो contract करेंगे, and uterus में भी what layer? It will be the myogenic layer, wherein the contractions will start, and in that the child is going to come out, that is parturition will be started because of oxytocin. It will also be contracting the mammillary glands, जहाँ से there will be helping in milk ejection. So a very important point to remember about here is oxytocin is going to help in milk ejection. So milk ejection किसका काम है? It is the work of oxytocin. Whereas if you remember about, we had studied about prolactin. So prolactin जो hormone हमने पढ़ा था, it was related to the production, because I told you production prolactin. So that way you can remember production and release, that is P and R of milk, is going to be done by what? It will be done by the prolactin hormone. Whereas milk ejection का काम कौन करेगा? Milk ejection का काम होगा of oxytocin. So you should not get confused between oxytocin and prolactin, because most of the time, since it is related to milk, people get confused between whether it was milk production for oxytocin or it was milk ejection. So now, as you know, you should not get confused about it anymore. So as soon as there is going to be the widening of uterus, या तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि ऑक्सीटोसिन का रिलीज कब स्टार्ट होगा. So release will be started as soon as there is widening of uterus, and whenever the baby's head is going to push onto the uterus to come out. During that time the oxytocin will be starting to release. That will be the start point जहाँ से वो release होना start होगा. And even because of suckling of nipples by the young infant, that is also going to stimulate the hypophysis to release oxytocin. And that to what hypophysis? It will be regulating the neurohypophysis, that is your posterior pituitary, to release the oxytocin hormone. So sometimes when the mother is too much attached to her baby, and when she is moving around with or without her baby, even if the mother sees the baby or hears the baby's cries, during that time it can happen that it can stimulate the secretion of this hormone. So wo mother mother can have symptoms like she is releasing, that is ejecting milk from her mammillary glands even when the baby is not suckling. So that can be the case wherein the mother is to be told that she should not be too attached to the baby's sight or sound. So it is not necessary कि वो उसी का बच्चा हो, किसी और के बच्चे को रोते हुए देख भी she can start the stimulation of oxytocin release and that can give the different symptoms, and one of them is going to be predominant, that is milk ejection from the sight and sound of baby. So because of that, the milk ejection, or because of the childbirth to which the oxytocin is helping out, it is going to be having two more names. So oxytocin को आप pitocin भी बोलते हो, the synthetic version, but oxytocin is also going to have some few more names. The one name is called as birth hormone because it is helping in childbirth, so it is called as birth hormone. Or second name of it is going to be the milk ejecting hormone because the function is going to be that way, so उसको वो नाम से भी बुला जाता है. So you should not get confused between if you are asked which of the following is a birth hormone. So birth hormone कौन सा है? It is going to be the oxytocin. So here we discussed about the functioning of oxytocin in pregnant or lactating females. So ये तो ज़रूरी नहीं है that always the oxytocin release will be only in these two types of humans. जो pregnant नहीं है, the non-pregnant females, or the girls who are before puberty, or even in boys wherein there is no functioning of uterus or mammillary glands. So वो condition में pitocin क्या काम करेगा? In that case, the oxytocin is going to be used, or it will be associated with the functioning that is called as empathy, or it can be for trust development, for sexual activities, or even for relation building. So these are the associated functions that oxytocin will do for the females who are not matured, or even for the males who are not going to be associated with the childbirth or lactation. So these functions are for those people, and even for lactating or pregnant females also these functions will be going on, but for them the additional functions will be provided by oxytocin, that is birth hormone and milk ejection hormone. So since it is going to be oxytocin related to sexual attractions or empathy, trust and relation building, उसका एक तीसरा नाम भी होता है, that will be called as love hormone. So oxytocin is also the love hormone. So if you see someone whom you love, whom you see and you start blushing out, everything will be because of the oxytocin release. So oxytocin is going to release, it will be accelerated, because once you hug or you have orgasm, there is going to be release of more and more oxytocin, which will be also called as love hormone. So अगर ये oxytocin release हो रहा है in large quantities, the person can be more generous, he can be kind enough to go and share your things with others, there can be more trust developed into people, the person will be less fearful and also will have good social interactions. So that is all that the oxytocin can do. And very important thing that also oxytocin has is the oxytocin release can increase also when the person is playing with dogs. So आपके पास dogs हो या आपके पास cats हो, in short when you are having pets के साथ once you are playing, there will be increased secretion of oxytocin. So once you are playing with your pets, once you are playing with young kids, there will be release of oxytocin, and because of release of oxytocin, as it is a love hormone, you will be feeling much more loved, you will be feeling much more energetic, you will have more trust in people, and in all you will be having good social interactions. So for that reason also, the playing with dogs or pets having at your home is going to help you for maintaining your social status as well. So people who have pets at their place, these are considered to be more happier, to be more socially interactive, because of more oxytocin secreted into their body than the rest who don't have such pets, don't who play with other animals, or don't have young kids. So that will be the case of oxytocin in the young females, in pregnant females, lactating females, or even in males. So the last hormone coming from the pituitary gland, and specifically not pituitary, we will say it is coming from the pars nervosa. So pars nervosa से जो hormone release होगा, that is vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone, that is ADH. It is going to act mainly on the kidneys, and it is going to stimulate reabsorption of water and electrolytes. And since it is going to reabsorb water, from where is it going to do? It is going to do it from the DCT called as distal tubules, or even from the collecting tubules. So this you might have heard from the chapter of kidneys that we had done. So that is going to be about the vasopressin, और जैसे ही इनका function होता है कि to water conservation. So this is going to reduce the water loss from the body, यानी urine जो होगी वो urine is going to be concentrated because of this hormone. So अगर ये hormone का synthesis ज़्यादा हो रहा है, your urine will be too much saturated, it will be too concentrated, and if this hormones is going to be at normal condition, it is going to reduce the water loss from the body. And for that reason only, since it is preventing diuresis. What is diuresis? Diuresis, that means a very dilute urine. When it is a very dilute urine जिसका concentration बहुत कम है, that is going to be the condition, that is diuresis, very dilute urine, as well as excessive thirst. Because urine अगर बहुत ज़्यादा dilute है, urine के through बहुत ज़्यादा water output हो रहा है, the person will feel thirsty all the time, and that is nothing but the condition called as diuresis. So अगर ये condition को prevent करना है, then the secretion of ADH should be normal. If sometimes there is problems in secretion, that is failure to secrete vasopressin, and vasopressin का blood में concentration कम है, that is going to be affected onto the renal absorption. So release कम हो रहा है, that means there will be reduced water absorption from the DCT, and that is going to eliminate a large amount of volume. यानी आपका जो यूरिन होगा वो बहुत ज़्यादा dilute हो जाएगा, that is it is hypotonic, and it will be the condition of diuresis. So dilute urine, excessive thirst will be occurring when there is reduced secretion or failure to secrete the ADH. And that condition, when there is going to be less amounts of ADH into the body, the person is going to start suffering from diabetes insipidus. What is it going to suffer from? It is going to suffer from diabetes insipidus. So you people must have repeatedly heard about diabetes mellitus. Okay, diabetes mellitus के बारे में, this disease is much more common than the diabetes insipidus. So diabetes mellitus, mela word is going to refer to honey. So honey जो है, it is related to insulin, wherein the blood glucose level is going to be always high because insulin is going to be low in blood. So that is diabetes insipid, diabetes mellitus, जहाँ पे insulin levels कम है. So it is nowhere related to kidneys, but it is related to pancreas, right? Whereas the different type of disease but same name, that is diabetes insipidus में there is going to be the relation of ADH, that is vasopressin, and the condition of dilute urine without glucose is going to be occurring. So अगर यूरिन में ग्लूकोज नहीं है, then it is a case of diabetes insipidus. Whereas if there is diabetes mellitus में you will have urine with glucose. So that is the major difference that you need to remember about diabetes insipidus and diabetes mellitus. Next thing, we also need to understand that because of ADH, there is also going to be effect on the arterial blood pressure, and arterial blood pressure enhance होगा, वो बढ़ जाएगा, because ADH is also going to cause constriction or narrowing of arterioles. तो arterioles का अगर diameter इतना था, इतने से ADH ने अगर function करने पे diameter कम कर दिया, So what is going to be the effect on pressure? Diameter is going to reduce, pressure is going to increase. That is nothing but arterial blood pressure will be enhanced, it will be increased in the case of release of more ADH or more vasopressin. So that is going to be about the last hormone released from pars nervosa as well as the entire pituitary gland. So if you understood all the hormones released from pituitary gland, आपको सब समझ आ रहा है, and if you like the way that these videos go on, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our amazing channel. We will keep coming soon and soon with more videos around these topics. Till the time we come back next, keep studying, keep smiling. Bye bye everyone. Thank you.